morning, everyone. Let me just make sure. I think my mic is live here. Okay. Good morning, everyone. It is Wednesday, January 31st, 2024, finishing out the first month of the year. Let's go ahead and jump back and take a look here at what happened yesterday. This is going to be a pretty quick review because, as you guys saw yesterday, it was a pretty boring market and really didn't go anywhere. So let's go ahead and take a look very quickly, and that'll get us into our pre-market for this morning. So let's go back to the open here and take a look. So if you look at the day before, the market came up to 56, right? Pulled back, and then in the overnight session peaked right up to our scaffolding and failed one tick in front. Same exact thing happened yesterday. So they pushed up, they failed off 56, one tick in front, and then the bulls rallied it back up to come up right to our scaffolding and fail one tick in front and fail. So it was quite literally the exact same thing that happened just a couple hours earlier there, and then it went ahead and pulled back to fall right back to just below where the market opened. So nothing really great to talk about outside the fact that the two very discrete levels, just a couple ticks away from each other, were, in my opinion, probably the most relevant levels of the day, because that's exactly where we got the biggest rotations. Outside of that, again, nothing really cool to see here. You know, just chopped around. We did hold the back end of our hopeful a couple times, but again, just a total chop fest. And then at the end of the day, this is one of my favorite fades setups here, and that is when we have the market pushing into a new high. And a lot of times this is what we'll see. We'll see the market test into some high like we saw here, get some type of pullback, then we get that slightly higher high. There's our peak above and fail, or whatever you want to call it. Typically you also get a nice divergence off that slightly higher high, and then we get the failure and we get price getting below VWAP. That's kind of like the first check mark there, or the second check mark. The first check mark is the crossover after the peak high. We get price getting down through VWAP, and then we get that retest at the back end of the 200 here. And both tests there would have been great opportunities to try a short to see if we could go ahead and break through the VWAP and come down lower. So that is one of my favorite fades right there. And we did get it. Once again, it seems like nearly every day there's a similar setup like this that happens. And maybe the inverse on the upside. But as you guys know, not over 90% of my winning trades are fades for whatever reason. I just see that setup. So great opportunity towards the end of the day to try the back end of the 200 there. And then we got to push down to find some support right at our next level, but just not enough follow through to get anywhere. And then the price came down and closed right at the pocket that we highlighted in our pre-market. So if you guys remember, this area around 33.25 to 34, which was maybe 33 to 34, let's call it, that 1 point pocket, was an area we expected to potentially be a good support level. And it was highlighted in our report yesterday morning, and then that was basically the low of the day. Okay, so the high of the day was our scaffolding level, just one tick away. That's just how the cookie crumbles some morning and some days. And then the low of the day was our pocket that I told you, if we start to fail down through and come through come down through 40.5, this was going to be the next most relevant area. Want to take profit just in front of it there, and sure enough, it's exactly where the market closed. And coming into this morning, now we have the previous daily low and the previous daily close basically highlighting that very pocket that I gave you yesterday. Now, in the overnight session, there actually were some very interesting little things that happened, so I want to look at that. Interestingly enough, after that pocket that I just mentioned, our next expected support level was going to be our scaffolding here at 49.27.5, and that's exactly where we got our bounce. So the low of the overnight session, even two beautiful tests, at least the beginning of the overnight session, was right off our scaffolding. Again, not too surprising. And then you got that parry in the context of this bearish pullback right off the back end of our 200. Again, All right, there even was some great divergence setting up there, and then we got this little duck. And notice what happened here. It was an attempt by the bears to bring us down through the next scaffolding, which was support at the beginning of the Globex session, then became a resistance, and they tried to hold, got a little messy, but now it seems like we're getting continued follow through here. So some decent, in my opinion, probably more sexy type of situation in the overnight. But again, yesterday was a bit of a messy chop fest. So that brings us into our pre-market for this morning. We'll go ahead and jump up to the higher time frames.